said to the players and the staff, don't get too high with the highs and too low with the lows. We've got to try and remain level and keep looking to improve regardless of our, of the quality of our performances. So there was lots and lots of positives in there. To score 5 goals, to give a clean sheet is obviously, very, very, a very, very big statement. But there's obviously lots of things in our game on Saturday that we felt we could have done better. And that's my mentality. My mentality is to look to improve and look to evolve. Every single day in training and every week to week to in the games programme. So it was good. It puts us on the back of two wins, 2 clean sheets. It would have been nice to go into Tuesday's game to keep that momentum. We don't know how we're going to fare not playing on Tuesday. We did train on Tuesday. You can't recreate the game. I didn't want to recreate the amount of loading on that Tuesday also. So let's see where we are. Obviously it is a disappointment when you put so much energy and time and resources into playing the game, and on the day of the game it gets called off. So we'll dust ourselves down and go again Saturday.
You've had quite, in terms of injuries, you've had up and down, because 5 out and you're having to bring 5 new players in terms of players that might not have started the games, but it does show the depth that you've got there and the quality that can come in and almost seamlessly just step in.
Yeah, I think that was one of the big things in the summer, to be proactive with how we recruit, to try and get a minimum of 2 players per position. Because of the shape and the system, we've got a couple of players that maybe will play slightly out of position in terms of a Nick Clayton-Phillips and a Jamie Ward, that obviously can operate in those wide areas, but also can fit, seamlessly into playing in central areas. So we're quite top heavy in and around the area beyond the front player of the 9, but in every other position, we've kind of looked to try and make sure we have 2 in each position, and if one was injured, we can just promote one and bring one straight in, or if that player needed a rest and needed to come out of the team for whatever particular reason, we can put somebody in and feel competent as a staff and as a playing squad, that we're still going to be competitive.
And just on those injuries, I guess the first one's Gudger had his scan last week. What was the outcome of that?
Yeah, so Gudger he's actually going under the knife today, so he's having an operation today. So the surgeon will go and have a look around. It's his meniscus, so hopefully he'll have the surgery. Until he gets in, we won't know the extent, whether it's as bad as first thought on the scan or not as bad. We're probably looking at 6 to 8 weeks for him to get back in that starting team. So I think it was a sensible decision to go under the knife and get it sorted. And so the player and us as a staff and myself as a manager know exactly that we're going to be without him for the next 6 to 8 weeks. And it also gives Alex a real good mindset in terms of knowing a return to play date. So he's under the knife today, so we wish him well with that, and hopefully it's not as severe and not as bad as first thought.
And in terms of players coming back into the side, any update on that? Anything you can, positive names coming back?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we've got some big key players coming back into the squad. There are 1 or 2 that are probably another week, another 2 weeks away. But as you alluded to earlier, we've got a competitive squad. So when we have our bigger names and our bigger players, and and players that I think we all know, supporters will know, and us as a technical and tactical staff will know they're going to be big players for Solihull this season. It's always nice to have them in around, and we've got one or two now that are knocking on the door, hoping to get into the squad and get into the starting team on Saturday.
Is that the other dilemma you have, because the likes of Mitch came in, Cameron Archer as well scored twice, and it's difficult for players coming in to get that space back, I suppose.
It is, yeah. It's sometimes obviously it's circumstantial. So in some instances, and I said this to the players, in some instances with the volume of games that we've got, it's going to be a big strain for certain players in certain areas, and probably more so dictated by the areas they play in the pitch. To play 3, 4, 5 games on a spin, which which potentially would have happened if we'd have played on Tuesday night. So I'm not massive on squad rotation. I'm not massive on changing too many things. I like a settled team. I like a settled squad. But also we've got players that have that are young of age. That might find the physical demands very, very difficult to go week in, week out, game in, game out. So we'll rest them appropriately. And as I said, in key areas. So there's going to be a little bit of flexibility within our squad when we have a fixture congestion. We've done lots of case studies in terms of teams that we aspire to play like, in terms of our intensity with and without the ball. I kind of looked at trends on on how many consecutive games players played and when they come out of their teams, and and utilise that information for ourselves as well. So it's always a nice headache to have when people come into the team and perform well. That's all I ask for. To make the selection of that starting 11 and then even the squad. To give me a headache and give me something to sit down and think about.
On to tomorrow and Boreham Wood. They're one of the teams that are likely to be up and around it, and they've shown why they got to the playoffs last season and came so close a couple of years before as well.
Yeah, well, I think they will be up and around there. I think they're nobody's guaranteed in this league, as you've probably seen some very very indifferent results over the last 2 or 3 games. But in saying that, they've got strength in depth in their squad. They've got some very 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 good individuals. I think they're well organised. They're going to pose a threat, no doubt. They've got some forward-thinking players, some attacking players, some players that can really hurt us. And our job and my job as a manager is just try and strip those strengths, and take it away from them, and more importantly for me, impose what we're about, and impose our game style upon Boreham Wood. But it's going to be a very very difficult game tomorrow, and I'm quite looking forward to it in terms of. I think this will give us a good marker and indication to see where we are as a playing squad.
That's a good point, is it? Because they've almost gelled as a team over the last few years. Garrod's been there, 9-10 years himself. So it's a squad that they're pulled together, and it's a solid foundation for them.
It's invaluable. I think sometimes people underestimate the importance of that longevity. In terms of having a culture, setting the culture, setting the environment. Setting the principles of play with and without the ball. I think it's really important, and you're dead right. They've embedded that over the last few years. I speak to lots of experienced managers in terms of me trying to pinch and learn and develop myself as a manager, and a lot of them say forget 6 weeks. You're probably looking at 16 to 20 weeks before you actually gel your team. So we're obviously a long way off that, and we're still looking to evolve and looking to build those relationships and those bonds on understanding each other, and what we require from each other as a team in terms of the principles of play, but also as individuals. If I'm a central midfield player, it's going to take me more than 4, 5, 6 games to get to know how Adam Rooney plays, and and where his strengths lie, and and how we can best build those connections. They're obviously a lot further down the line than us in terms of that team cohesion, playing together, and it's something we're working towards.
Just want to touch on the goals we've scored so far this season, because they've come from all areas: open play, the penalty spot, and also Jordan Cranston shown that his set piece delivery can be a real asset to the team.
Yeah, well, set play. I think set plays is massive. It's massive importance in this league. Lots of teams are very very well organised, very very well drilled. And you can almost sense. I know we've got no supporters in the ground, but you can almost sense when that ball does go dead in those situations that there's a real positivity. For teams to capitalise on a set play advantage. So it's something we've got to be, something we've worked on and spoke to the players about, that we can be a real force, that we've got a real good physical threat. As you said, it's you can have as many big boys in your team as you want, but ultimately it's down to the quality of delivery and the quality of the time and that bravery to go and get on the end of things and head things. And unfortunately for us, we've got players who want to do that and have that bravery and desire in both boxes. So set plays is going to be a big, key, important part of our season. And determine the success or not of our season will rely upon set plays also. But obviously 90%, 95% of our work is open play. It's on how we build, how we penetrate, and how we create. And I think we've had some very very good moments, in particular in our back third and mid third possession. If I'm being ultra critical, I think we can be more of a threat and have more of a killing mentality and a killer instinct in around that final third. And I think we started to see signs of that last Saturday against Kingsley.
Just finally, the FA Cup draw was made yesterday, and Wrexham will meet again. What do you make of that one?
It is what it is. It's a draw, so you have to prepare yourself for every eventuality. And whoever you got, we sat around the radio yesterday listening to it, and it's the FA Cup. It's a magical competition. It's one that's had a lot of excitement in and around here. Regardless who we play, we've got to put a team performance in to get to the next round. And it's as simple as that. And maybe sometimes in cup competitions, sometimes as a coach you can swallow your ethos and your principles of play, and just to get round and get into that next round, and by hook or by crook we're doing everything we possibly can to get by Wrexham and get into the next round of that cup competition.